You ever feel like you're your own worst enemy? Like there's this invisible force just holding you back from whatever you're trying to do? You know, that voice of doubt, that pull of procrastination. Well, today we are going to dive into what that force is. And here's the kicker: what if it isn't personal at all? Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, we all know this voice, right? It's that whisper in your ear saying, you're not ready, you're gonna fail, or just do it tomorrow. And it feels so personal. It's like it has this custom-made list of all your deepest insecurities, just for you. But according to the author Steven Pressfield, that's all just a very clever disguise.
And this is the idea that changes everything. Pressfield says this internal enemy, it's not some unique flaw in your character. Nope. Instead, he says it's an impersonal, universal force, something as predictable and as powerful as gravity. And he actually gives this force a name.
He calls it resistance. And yeah, that's with a capital R. Resistance is this negative force, and it rises up to oppose any act that would lead to our growth. We're talking anything from launching a startup to writing a novel or even just trying to stick to a new workout plan.
And you know, what's wild is when you look at the script that resistance uses, it's just so familiar. It uses the exact same lines on pretty much everyone. It'll tell one person you're too old, and the next person you're too young. It'll convince you that your great idea has been done before, and then bam, it distracts you with this sudden, urgent need to go organize your sock drawer. Sound familiar? It's totally universal. So, the big question is, where does this stuff come from?
So to get that, Pressfield lays out this model of our psyche, and he says it's basically split into two warring factions. You've got the ego, and you've got the self. Let's break down who these two players are.
Okay, so first up, we've got the ego. This is the part of you that you probably think of as I, right? It's your conscious mind. It's the part that identifies with your name, your job, your body. Think of it like the CEO of your daily life. It's handling all the tasks, making the plans, and its number one top-line directive is to maintain control, no matter what.
And then, on the other hand, there's the self. And yeah, that's with the capital S too. This is the vast, much deeper part of you. You can think of it as this, spring of your intuition, your creativity, all those moments of genius. It's that place where your absolute best ideas just seem to pop up from almost out of nowhere. It's connected to something much bigger than just you.
So here's where the conflict really kicks in. On one side, you've got the ego, that conscious manager, obsessed with control and just getting through the day. And on the other side, you've got the self, that deep reservoir of creativity and connection. It's this fundamental tension, this push and pull between these two that explains why we so often end up sabotaging ourselves.
And this brings us to the war itself. And get this, it's not a war against you. It's a war for control inside of you. It's basically a turf war for the territory of your own mind. And it's being fought between the ego and the self.
And this whole cycle, it plays out in a super predictable way. So you try to do some meaningful, creative act. Write a song, have that tough conversation, launch that project. What you're really doing is trying to let go and tap into that deeper self. Well, the ego immediately senses this. It sees this surrender of control as a mortal threat to its authority. So what's its response? It manufactures resistance. And its goal is to stop you dead in your tracks and pull you right back into its safe, rational, and frankly, limited little world.
And here's the real existential threat behind all of this. The ego knows, it understands that if you truly learn to live from the self, if you start to trust that deeper intuitive force, then its job as the all-important manager is basically over. It's out of business. So it is literally fighting for its life. And that is why resistance can feel so powerful and sometimes so vicious.
Now, it's worth pointing out there are other ways to think about this. The writer Seth Godin, for instance, he chalks this all up to the lizard brain. That's our amygdala, right? The ancient reptilian part of our brain that's just hardwired for survival. It sees any new venture, any risk at all, as a potential threat, and it just screams, "Stop!" to try and keep us safe.
And Pressfield, he respects that theory. He says it's a perfectly valid model. But for him, this whole dynamic between the ego and the self, it just gets at a deeper, more profound truth about what it means to be human.
And that truth, he believes, is rooted in two fundamentally different ways of seeing the entire world.
So, okay, let's explore those worldviews. Because this isn't just about psychology anymore. We're actually moving into the realm of philosophy here. It's about the core operating system that these two parts of us use to interpret reality itself.
But wait a minute, this brings up a huge paradox, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. If you succeed, your ego gets all the credit. It gets the status, the money, the corner office. So why on earth would it actively work against its own best interests? It seems totally irrational.
Well, the answer lies in their completely incompatible realities. The ego, it operates from a place of absolute fear. It believes this material world right here is all there is. It believes death is the end, period, and that we're all just separate individuals competing with each other. The self, on the other hand, operates from love. It sees a deeper reality, one where we are all connected, all part of a single, unified, timeless whole.
And that is the key to understanding its seemingly crazy behavior. The ego's actions are actually perfectly logical, but only within its own fear-based worldview. It sabotages your big creative leaps not because it's evil, but out of this primal terror of being annihilated. It's just clinging to the control it has in the only world it believes is real.
Okay, so if the ego's world is all about fear and separation, what is the world of the self actually like? What does it feel like when we finally manage to quiet that ego down and get a glimpse of this other reality?
Pressfield uses a really potent analogy to describe this. He compares it to the experience of psychedelics. He suggests that when you access the self, it's not like you're hallucinating. It's more like a veil is lifted, and for a moment, you see the world as it actually is, in all its vibrant, beautiful, interconnected glory. A world that, get this, is always there, but it's just usually filtered out by our busy, day-to-day mind.
This quote really captures the feeling of that profound state. It's a state of pure awe, a state where a totally ordinary object can suddenly become the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. It's like you're getting a glimpse of a divine perspective, one that's just fundamentally rooted in love and in unity.
So why can't we just live there all the time? Well, there's a very practical reason: survival. To function in what Pressfield calls this hardcore world of predators, to drive a car, pay your taxes, and just get through the day, we have to shrink reality down to a manageable, functional size. Our everyday consciousness is a necessary, even life-saving filter.
And so that leaves us with one last really fascinating question. If the self can perceive this deeper, more vibrant reality, and our ego has to filter it down just for us to survive, what does that say about the world we all experience every single day? Could it be that the reality we call normal is just a tiny black and white piece of a much grander, full-color truth that's just waiting for us, right on the other side of our own resistance?